I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well done. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Portland Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on September 11, 2021, and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com, published in the board's designated online media outlet, The Record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines the word meeting as any gathering, whether corporal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all of the members of a public body, held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. The purpose of tonight's special public business meeting is to convene directly into executive private session to conduct superintendent finalist candidate interviews and discuss personnel and legal matters. The board will return to public session at approximately 8 p.m. tonight to appoint a superintendent, hire additional staff for the 2021 to 2022 school year, approve the second reading and adoption of policy 7250, entitled School and Facility Names, and to rename the field house in honor of Joe Sorace. Action will be taken. Could we please have roll call?
Ms. Joe? Here. Ms. Silva?
Here.
Ms. Morrell? Here. Ms. Richter? Here. Ms. Rombo? Here. Ms. Curry?
Here.
Mr. Rubino?
Here.
Ms. Sassoon?
Here.
Ms. Colback?
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. I'm sorry? The board will be convening to executive session using a different and private Zoom link. But this public Zoom link will remain open, and the board will return to the public meeting at approximately 8 p.m. tonight. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Motion Morales, and I,
Second.
second Rubino. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so meetings law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Portland Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on September 11, 2021, and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com, published in the board's designated online media newspaper, The Record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised that this meeting is being taped and may be broadcasted on local TV and the district's website at a future date. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines the word meeting as any gathering, whether corporal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all of the members of a public body, held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. Could we have roll call, please?
Ms. Joe? Here. Ms. Silva?
Here.
Ms. Morrell?
Here.
Ms. Richter?
Here.
Ms. Rombo?
Here.
Ms. Curry?
Here.
Mr. Rubino?
Here.
Ms. Sassoon? Here. Ms. Colback?
Here.
We have quorum.
The board convened executive session tonight at 6 p.m. to conduct superintendent finalist candidate interviews and to discuss legal and personnel matters. So for those present, the resolution 1B that was published with the agenda has been completed, and I'm going to read it in full into the record. So board 1B reads as follows. Therefore, be it resolved that the Fort Lee Board of Education approves the appointment of Robert Kravitz as Superintendent of Schools effective on or before September 29, 2021, for the terms and conditions to be negotiated, subject to approval by the interim executive county superintendent. And Resolution Board 2B, the effective date of that resolution was left blank, and that resolution will be effective immediately and therefore will read as follows. Therefore, be it resolved that the Fort Lee Board of Education approves the naming of the field house located at the Lewis F. Cole Middle School property to the, quote, Joseph J. Surace Field House, close quote, effective immediately. So those were the updates to the agenda. Do any board members have questions? There is no superintendent's report tonight. We have a regularly scheduled meeting, and at that point, at our regular published meeting, we will have the superintendent's report on the opening of schools and other topics. Do any board members have questions or comments on tonight's agenda or any other topic? Esther, go ahead.
So, I felt this was important enough for me to state in public. You just read the resolution for 1B. The agenda was posted without a name, and, you know, it is permitted. It's basically like a walk-in resolution. I don't feel that it's appropriate for the board to hire a permanent superintendent without giving the public advance notice. We are essentially announcing it right now, and we are basically voting on it in minutes. After all the time and money that we spent with the search firm, soliciting feedback from the community, the parents, the stakeholders, we're giving everybody no opportunity to weigh in, chime in, give their thoughts, to even absorb this. So I felt this was important enough to say something. And yes, there's a time constraint, and, you know, time is of the essence, and we're under the gun. That's our own fault, and that's something, you know, we'll have to deal with and speak about later. That's a topic to deal with at another time. But I just feel that that's not an excuse for us to not do it the proper way. And I just don't feel that this is the right way for us as a board to handle it. And I just felt it was something that I needed to state publicly. And I already said it in private session, and it was important enough for me to express my opinion in public.
So, I mean, I'll just give my reaction to it. I mean, I don't feel at all under the gun. We hired a firm earlier this year, and under our initial timeline with that firm, we were supposed to identify a permanent candidate in August, so that candidate could open our schools. And, you know, there was some lag time in that, but we have met with all of the people that we wanted to, of the resumes. We, historically, I think the last go round, I don't believe there was even a second round of interviews. You did it, you were part of that board, I wasn't, but interviews were had and decisions were made based on just one interview. And so we have been very methodical. We have been very thoughtful in our approach. We called people back so we could, you know, have a second observation. We felt it was important with a new board member that she also be able to observe the candidates. And so the timeline for me, we're right where we should be. Would I have preferred to I don't even know how we would have done it. I guess we would have the name on an agenda. But at this point, given the timeline that we have, I don't feel, you know, I think if the resolution doesn't pass, it doesn't pass. The community was involved from day one in the selection of our superintendent. We had multiple meetings, I think upwards of 20 meetings with PTAs, community members, mayor and council. every conceivable unit in our community had an opportunity to weigh in. So I don't feel that this is rushed at all. I think we're all in, there's a critical group. Hopefully it will be unanimous in favor of a particular candidate. And the sooner we can get in our permanent candidate, the sooner we can begin to do great things in our district. So would I have preferred an agenda with the name there? Yes, but I don't feel that there's any gun to my head, and I think we need to get someone permanent in, and we need to start to do the great work that we all want to do together. Does anyone else like to speak? Any other comments? All right, do I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Morel, second Rubino. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So we're going to start as we usually do. People that are here physically present at the cafetorium will have an opportunity to speak first. And then we'll take questions and comments from those participating remotely. We're going to ask you, as we do at all meetings, to please use the raised hand button in the upper left corner of your screen. Our board secretary, Hakisha Taylor, will recognize each community member in the order of the raised hands by lowering the hand and unmuting the microphone if you're muted. Please then state your name and home address for the record and begin your comments. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. So we'll start. I see some members physically present. If anyone would like to speak, please come up to the podium and state your name and home address.
Hello, my name is Tanya Byers-King, and I live at 275 Tom Hunter Road. Congratulations, Ms. Curry, for taking the seat. I hope that your experience is different than mine, sitting on the board. I wish you luck. Mine ended in not such a pleasant way, but I have a question about 1P, the 6 custodians that are coming on. Was that in the budget, or is that, where is that money coming from?
Sure.
Good afternoon, good evening, Ms. Byers-King. The addition of custodians is going to be supported by the ESSER funds. Because of the changes in some cafeteria operations, the additional custodial staff is needed for cleaning. So those salaries will be funded with ESSER funds.
That's great. Would it be possible to have more than one guidance counselor at the elementary level? Elementary level is where a lot of our early intervention takes place for 504s and IEPs. And one guidance counselor per school is really making it difficult. It's a lot to put on one person. When you get to higher grade levels, you do have one per grade level. It's just something I wanted to mention. And I just want to tell you that I'm very sad that I saw the physical newspaper that was dropped on every doorstep of everyone at Fort Lee. And I received many phone calls from elderly friends of mine and people in the community wanting to know about what happened with Mrs. Giacomelli. I pray that when you say that, does the great work continue in the district, that that great work will include something great at school number 1, because this has wrecked not only Rosemary Giacomelli's life, but many other people's life, and it was uncalled for on every level. So thank you.
I would.
Ms. Byers-King, if I may?
Yes.
I'd like to just address the guidance counselor piece. Fort Lee has been very lucky. It was one of the reasons I was attracted here, to have a guidance counselor at each of the buildings, in some cases more than one. Most districts don't have this.
No, yes.
So it's pretty amazing. And all those things that you talk about on the elementary level are also present, right, on the middle and the intermediate and the high school. I think that any school district would love the opportunity to employ more counselors, and certainly like the ones that we have. on
We
staff.
we have amazing guidance counselors.
We do, under great leadership with Ms. Karuba, but with that said, I think it's something that the board may want to consider in their budgeting purchases moving forward. So while we can't answer that now, it's not in the budget, perhaps moving forward, it's certainly a consideration that would be embraced, not only, I'm sure, by board members, but by the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else present like to speak? Do we have raised hands? We do? Okay.
So community members, please do raise your hand if you're out in the Zoom world. Please raise your hand now if you have a comment. Michelle Perez, I'm promoting you to panelists. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Michelle?
Yep. Sorry, hold on a second. Hi. Could you repeat the name of the superintendent? I didn't catch it, and I don't actually even know who this person is. Could you talk for like a minute or two so we can get excited about it?
Sure. So the name, Michelle, is Robert Kravitz.
Okay.
Kravitz was previously a superintendent in Englewood Cliffs in Englewood. He started his career at a charter school in Jersey City and soon ended up in Fort Lee. In Fort Lee, he was a business teacher at the high school. I think it was accounting and one other subject. He also was the advisor to the yearbook. He then was appointed to run the Academy of Finance at the high school. He was a vice principal at Fort Lee High School, and then he was transferred to become the principal of School 3, the elementary School 3.
Okay.
Where, in very short order, he transformed the school into, I think, the only blue ribbon school that Fort Lee has ever had, where because of the tremendous increase in test scores and whatever the other metrics are for that award. You could Google, he wrote a book about his experience in School 3 and transforming education and whatnot. He has submitted his dissertation. He's awaiting award of his doctorate. He started his career as a small business owner. He has an MBA. He has a degree from one of the 3 top culinary institutes. I confess, I forget the name of the particular school, but before he entered education, he had several businesses and was a pastry chef and sold throughout Bergen County.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe you want to ask me, that's what
No, that's
out of my head, I remember he's a graduate of Rutgers University in 1990. And by the way, it was the Culinary Arts Institute where he graduated. He got his MBA from St. Peter's University. He has a master's in educational leadership from St. Peter's, and his doctorate, if and when his dissertation is approved, will be awarded to him from Seton Hall University.
okay. That sounds great. I'm glad he was a teacher before he became an administrator and he had a different life, so he should be excellent.
He's been in the classroom. He's very entrepreneurial. He's won a number, he's very conversant. He's done lots of wonderful things with LG, getting very large grants for the Englewood School District. He's developed programs with St. Peter's, Fairleigh Dickinson, a number of universities, and one of the goals he has is to try to develop those relationships and put programs in place here. And when he was superintendent in Englewood, they have, I think he said, 8 separate academies.
Okay.
Have one. We have the Academy of Finance, and we have the Academy of Performing Arts as well. They had 8, and I think one of the things that is attractive to us as a board is his ability maybe to develop some additional vocational and other type of academies here in Fort Lee.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Christina, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Christina?
Sorry, I was on mute. Hi, my name is Christina Sa, 8025 Union Square in Texas, 75034. I just wanted to address some of the comments that was made during the last meeting. And I wanted to be clear that, again, if these experiences didn't happen to you, that's great. I'm not discrediting all the great things that Mrs. Giacomelli did or supposedly did that was made by other people. But I do think it's really important for me to address some of the things that she didn't do right, such as lunging at parents refusing to wear a mask. And at the PTA meeting, shaking her hands at me, yelling and saying, "Oh no, not with you today," and showing disrespect towards my question for a procedural issue during the PTA meeting. I want people who are making all these statements about how this is unfounded, claims. I want you to understand that at that meeting, I was not only yelled at by Mrs. Giacomelli, and then Tanya made other statements, but I was almost dragged out by the security guard for merely asking a procedural question. All at this, because the reason was supposedly because I was a non-member. This happened in front of my children's teachers and their classmates' parents. All while two non-member parents who were non-Asians were not, and teachers were not only allowed to stay that day, but they were allowed to vote and nominated into a board position by the PTA president herself. I also keep on hearing about all these complaints about the cost of the investigation. I want to be able to clearly state, don't discredit the board. They're not doing these investigations for just mere allegations and unfounded things. They're not wasting our tax dollars. There's a reason why the board is doing this investigation. It's important. If there is implicit biases or cultural differences or things that need to change in Fort Lee School 1, these are really important things that needs to be addressed, and this is why the board is doing this. I want to really emphasize that it's great if this didn't happen to you, that's great, but don't make rash decisions about what happened if you don't know the full story. I encourage you, if you don't know the full story, ask the board or go back and see the recordings of the meetings, because there's more to the stories than what people are hearing and knowing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Christina.
Straight up lying. I never spoke to her. She is lying.
Dan, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Ms. Vaughn.
Hi, Cian Spawn, 33 Center Street, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. I am the president, Fort Lee Education Association, and I just have a couple of questions regarding this walk-in or special meeting, regarding how many people received a second interview for this, how many people were interviewed. I took part in a lot of the interviews with the company that you hired. I sat in on many of the schools, listening to what the faculty were looking for in a leader. We talked about having somebody potentially who could represent the diverse needs of this community, potentially somebody who was ethnically diverse, potentially, because you can hear through some of the conversations that are continuing to go on tonight, we have some issues in Fort Lee. And potentially, this new hire should be able to do that. I didn't hear any of that from what Paula said there. I heard a lot about business. I don't know how long he taught for. I would like to know that as well. How long he was a teacher at the high school, because did he go alternate route? Was he a traditional thing? I kind of agree a little bit with Esther that there needs to be a little bit more transparency and a little bit more information provided to the public. And I just feel like this is a very quick decision. I didn't even know about it. I got a random text, and I'm jumping on. I wasn't planning on coming tonight. In previous years with superintendents, FLEE leadership was able to have at least a meet and greet with the potential new superintendent and, say hi, ask a couple of questions. We didn't really get to do that at all. So I'm a little concerned about the whole process here. I have nothing against Mr. Kravitz. I met him. He's a very nice man. Very nice man. I didn't have a problem, but I just feel like the process was supposed to like be followed a certain way. I don't understand the rush to make this decision tonight. I know Dr. Schoen is planning, I heard through the grapevine that she is planning on leaving, and maybe we can get someone else and make the decision in a less hasty manner. But I feel like there's a little bit more to the process if you want to get the buy-in from everybody, the community, as well as, the faculty and everybody. And, perhaps you have chosen the exact perfect person, but I feel like the process wasn't fully followed. We're kind of cutting it short. And, I think it's an important decision, and I'm not sure that it needs to be rushed into tonight. I see no reason. I don't know when your next meeting is. Probably in a couple of weeks, I would think, right? Usually every 2 weeks. So maybe at that meeting would be enough time to kind of wrap up these loose ends.
Since the 3 minutes went up, let me at least try on the superintendent aspect of your comments.
Sure.
Kravitz started his teaching career in 2003. As I referenced, he was a teacher at a charter school in Jersey City.
Okay.
There he became a teacher at the high school in business accounting. There were 2 classes. I know one was accounting. I forget the specific course title of the second, but he did that for 4 or 5 years, from 2004 to 2005, at which time he was elevated to be the assistant principal at the high school.
Wow.
So, I mean, I could tell you what he did as
Right.
the assistant principal at the high school. I can only speak for myself. I don't feel that this is rushed at all. The process was, we started earlier this year with the search firm, and you referenced some of the meetings. They met with all of the stakeholders. We went out to all parents. They met with mayor, council, I think the police chief, teachers, flag, fleet. And then they received, I think it was upwards of 60 resumes, and I think at the end it was even more. They did background searches, they did due diligence, they organized those resumes. The board was furnished with every single resume of every single candidate and had more than sufficient time. We waited over them. We identified from those resumes 10 that we thought would be suitable, that had experience that would complement running our district and where they could hit the deck running to do so. So we initially, I could have been even 2 months ago, I forget the precise date, maybe a month ago, we interviewed all 10 over a series of nights. We had, some questions that we asked of each of the candidates. After the 10 were interviewed, the board caucused, discussed at length those 10 candidates, determined that rather than select one that night, there were 3 that the board wanted to hear from in more in-depth discussion and questioning. Those 3 came back tonight. So the board for a long, for an extended period of time has had the resumes, have listened to the candidates several times. We had a discussion in executive session about them and came to a consensus on Mr. Kravitz. So that's the process. There was a timeline, which I'm happy to send to you. I don't have it here tonight. When we retained the search firm, where the goal was, based on the timeline, that we would identify our candidate, approve and appoint, and have a contract approved by our county superintendent by, the date was August 1, I believe, under our original timeline. So we haven't rushed anything. We're actually taking much longer than we initially anticipated, and that's fine, because we had a very capable and strong candidate who in the seat and running the district. So we haven't felt that type of time pressure when we did have a lapse in our original timeline. That addresses the process and the timing, and
It
Mr.
does,
Kravitz,
it does, it just doesn't address all the things that I heard in all the meetings that the community and people wanted from someone in a leader, and I don't know, I mean, he could maybe meet all of those requirements, but I'm not really hearing that. Is there anything that could be shared, like what people wanted? I mean, could you address that and how it matched up with what people said they wanted?
So, Cian, what I can tell you is the board wasn't in, like, the meeting with Flag. I'm sure there was no one there. I mean, I know as president, I didn't attend any of those meetings. I attended my personal meeting with the search firm. The search firm looked at the candidates and it identified the 10. If board members thought people that they did not identify were competent and had the experience we wanted, we could have said we'd like to interview additional people. And so our search firm, that's what we hired them for. They thought that the 10 that they presented to us had the characteristics and could meet the goals and had the experience that they heard in all of the meetings that they had. So that was kind of the starting point. And again, if there were people that we received all the resumes. If there was someone that stood out that they hadn't identified, a board member, could have said that, they wanted to interview even more candidates, but the 10 that were presented were presented based on all of those meetings.
Okay, I mean.
And I'm happy to send you Mr. Kravitz's CV.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like I said in the past, there usually I can remember even when Dr. Bandelo was brought in, sitting down at a big round table, myself and several other faculty members, and just being able to have a nice conversation. That was the final candidate, and really shaking hands. I remember asking him a couple of questions and really just giving some feedback after that meeting to, I guess it was board members, maybe even Esther was around at that time. And I just thought the process went very well back then. I'm not saying you didn't follow a process. It seems like you were very organized. I'm just saying it feels like it kind of stopped here. And, I was expecting maybe that there would be not just me getting attacked. Like, I didn't even know this was happening tonight. So I guess that's where it's coming from. Like, I had surgery today. So, like, I if I didn't get a text, I would never know. And even, it's just, it just feels like something should be announced to the community a little bit more and get some more feedback.
And we don't disagree. We are dealing with some unexpected compression in our timeline. So in a normal case, we would have preferred to do this at a normal, one of those meetings that we publish in January, the 2 each month. So I agree that, to that extent, we wish that we had more time, but in terms of selecting someone, we don't feel rushed.
Can I ask, what is the rush, though? Maybe I don't understand. Maybe that's where it lies, like why we feel like we have to do it tonight. I guess that's my question.
Yeah, so the rush is, you need a superintendent at all times. And
right.
You need someone who, and you also, their contracts need to be approved by the executive county superintendent. And that could take, maybe we would get lucky and it would be a week, 2 weeks, it could take months. And we hope it doesn't, because that would create, other issues for us. So, we had wanted someone in place before the schools opened, and we're at the end of our process. And so, we've identified a candidate. We'd like to get the contract done with the candidate as soon as possible and submit it to the executive county superintendent.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
And have a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Victoria Kim, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Victoria.
Victoria? You have the floor.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi. Okay. This is Victoria Kim, I live on 2090 McKay Avenue. These are the texts that I received from Tanya Byers-Kang after the first election. Tanya mentioned at last meeting that public has the right to know. So I'm sharing it today. On June 21st, I only submitted their tempering evidence to Board of Education because all I wanted was a fair election. This will be embarrassing for you, not only once, but twice. So let's do it. We will plan it, we will do it, and you will lose again. I'm well loved by every teacher in the school. And when you said that you wanted to do the things differently, they don't want that. So do whatever you need to do whatever NJPTA recommend. We will redo, but every single one of the teachers is a member and will be voting. Don't try to sign up any of your friends on the member, as I'm blocking it as of now. Tanya Byers-Kang and Mrs. Giacomelli, they planned illegal election for both the original and redo election. PTA president collected membership fees from all teachers in cash, but never registered them as PTA members. Not just this year, at least 3 years by the record. I didn't know until the morning of election that we have such a list. And Tanya and Mrs. Giacomelli were trying to use teachers to manipulate the election, pretending they were members. It was a fraud. All Asian parents were checked thoroughly for membership. Some Asian parents were even asked to write down their names on the exclusion list. Tanya Byers-Kang and Mrs. Giacomelli enforced the PTA member rules to Asian parents, but allowed non-Asian parents to vote. Not only to vote, Anna Abramian, who was not even a member, was nominated by Tanya and was elected for a new board member. It was very unethical. For a redo election, NJPTA requested Tanya and Ms. Giacomelli to open up membership sign-up for 3 days so parents can vote. NJPTA requests to hold the election in the evening so that working parents can come and vote. But Ms. Giacomelli and Tanya completely refused it. They ignored NJPTA requests using their power. And then a faculty meeting was held before the redo election, and 60 teachers and staff all attended to vote, all wearing in red shirts, while only 30 parents was able to vote. It was held in the morning on the last working day of teachers. This is how School 1 parents, especially Asian parents, were treated by Tanya, PTA president, and Mrs. Giacomelli, and their voice were ignored. They were not just KPAC members. They were PTA class parents, standing committee members who have devoted their time and effort for School 1. And there were class reps who organized teachers' appreciation gifts and Christmas gifts for teachers. Could you give me another 1 minute to finish this up?
Finish quickly, please. Sum it up. I mean, we're listening, but
This is slander, and I'm gonna get up and speak again. This is slander. I will get up and speak again.
I'm not just talking about the actual election.
Anybody else that talks this, shut up.
We've got to apply the same rules to everyone. I'm sorry, and we heard what you said. Thank you.
Okay, that's okay. I'll speak next time. Thank you.
Okay, I hope you appreciate. I announced recently we've got to have the same rules for everyone.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
I'll come back next week for more. Thank you.
We're all listening. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to clear up. Yeah, thank you.
I see one more raised hand. Please, again, if you're out in the Zoom world and you have a comment, please raise your hand now. Howard Lipoff, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. State your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Howard?
Howard, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Howard, go ahead, we hear you.
Okay, yes, I see that you, I'm Howard Lipoff. I live in Little Falls, but I'm a teacher at the Lewis F. Cole Intermediate School, and I'm the treasurer of the Fort Lee Education Association. I want to say, I know Paula mentioned that Mr. Kravitz wrote a book. I read it when it first came out or shortly thereafter, may have been maybe 10 years ago. It's a very good book. Mr. Kravitz is a very good writer. And it's a short book about how schools should be run and how members of the community and administration and staff can all work together for the success of the children. So I want to say that if Mr. Kravitz turns out to be the successful candidate tonight, I hope he'll, in his leadership, in his new role, act as he said that he believes in the book. I think then he'd have great success, because I think the book details how schools could be run well and how education could benefit all the children in schools. I want to thank you very much for your time and have a nice evening.
And Howard, I just want to add, I remember the book, I haven't read it, and I'm not getting any royalties. I'm going to buy it on Amazon like everyone else. But I look forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, have a nice evening.
Good night. You too.
Irina, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. State your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Irina?
Hi, Irina Karash, 230 Tremont. I had a question. If have you guys heard of any students mentioning or noting that they can't see the boards with the shields? My daughter's in the 3rd grade, and she, I guess, was placed in second or third row, and she said that she was having trouble seeing past the shields. So I'm wondering if that's something you guys can kind of look into, if the shields are preventing kids from being able to see the board.
I'll certainly look into it. I haven't heard anything at this point, but again, it's the principals who are closer to what it is that's going on.
Okay.
So I'll certainly check with them. There is the opportunity for parents to request that those individual shields are removed from their children. So we would certainly welcome that as well if there's a visual problem. But let me check with the principals and see what's going on.
Oh, so we can request to have the shields moved? Okay.
You can. What
Okay.
we wanted to do is we wanted to offer you as many options as we possibly could for a safe environment. Certainly the masks are not an option.
Right, I understand.
We went above and beyond. So it is definitely requesting for the little ones, for smaller children, we would just request it.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was a requirement for all the classrooms, so I didn't want to be the parent that kind of, tells the teacher, hey, can you take that down? But okay, that's good to know. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
There are no more raised hands.
May I have a motion to close the floor to the public? Motion, Stasu, second, Rubino, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, let's move on to resolutions. May I have a motion to approve item 1, POL?
Motion.
Second.
Motion, Morel, second, Rubino. Roll call, please.
Ms. Morel?
Yes.
Ms. Ramba?
Yes.
Ms. Cho?
Yes.
Ms. Richter?
Yes.
Ms. Stasu?
Yes.
Ms. Von Silver?
Yes.
Mr. Rubino?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Ms. Colback?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I have a motion to approve items 1B and 2B?
Motion.
Motion, Richter, second, Morel. Roll call, please.
Ms. Ramba?
No. No on 1B and yes on 2B.
So noted. Mr. Rubino?
Yes. On both.
Ms. Cho?
No to 1B, yes to 2B.
So noted. Ms. Richter?
Yes.
Ms. Von Silver?
No to 1B, yes to 2B.
So noted. Ms. Stasu?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Ms. Morel?
Yes.
Ms. Colback?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I have a motion to approve items 1P and 2P?
Motion.
Motion, Morel, second, Ramba. Roll call, please.
Ms. Stasu?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Ms. Von Silver?
Yes.
Ms. Ramba?
Yes.
Ms. Morel?
Yes.
Ms. Richter?
Yes.
Mr. Rubino?
Yes.
Ms. Cho?
Yes.
Ms. Colback?
Yes.
Motion carried.
May I have a motion to adjourn the public meeting?
Motion.
Motion.
Motion, Rubino, second, Morel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.